Welcome everyone. My name is Stephanie Ivick and I'm the content manager here at eLearning Brothers. Today we are talking about managing libraries in Camtasia. This session will be recorded and we'll be emailing a copy of the recording out to everyone who's registered, so you can keep an eye out for that in your inbox. If you have any questions at all during the webinar, we'll be answering them in the questions panel or out loud during the webinar. So go ahead and submit any questions that you have. We will get to as many of the questions as we can. If we can't get to your question, we'll do our best to follow up offline afterwards. And today we have Andrew Townsend, our campaign marketing manager, with us. He is going to teach you all about Camtasia. We're very excited to learn. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and change my screen over. Actually, I'll do that in a second. So just to kind of give you guys an outline of what we're going to do, we're talking about the libraries in Camtasia. This is a feature that came out, I think it was with, Camtasia 9. So it was a new feature, and they've kind of just improved on it with each version of Camtasia, whether it be 9, 2018, 2019, and hopefully maybe someday at 2020. We'll see. They promised us a release every year, and I mean, I understand things are slowing down everywhere right now, but I would love to see a 2020 sooner than later. So before we start, and while I switch my screen over to my Camtasia window, let's go ahead and launch a poll. I just want to know what version of Camtasia you guys are on. Are you guys using 9? Maybe you're on 8, the really old version. Are you on 18? Or are you guys just using 2019? I see you guys coming in. Early votes show lots of 2019 users, a couple 2018 users. While you're doing that, I haven't noticed a tremendous difference between 2018 and 19. There's a couple quirks here or there, but I feel like mostly 2019 and 2018 are very, very similar. What we're going to talk about today, I'm going to be in both 2019 and Camtasia 9. I'm going to go all the way back, and we'll see how that progresses, and everything we talk about applies to 9, 18, and 19. So we can go ahead and close that poll now, and it looks, Steph, if you wouldn't mind giving us the report on those.
All right, so it looks like the majority of the people here are using Camtasia 2019, although we did have one write-in who is a beta tester for 2020.
Ooh.
So that is pretty exciting.
That's very promising. Excellent. And I'll check for audience view just to make sure you're seeing. Okay, yes, so this is Camtasia 2019. We are in the process of developing some new templates for Camtasia in 2019 so that they're the newest version. We have a ton of templates, but they all kind of fit into either 9 or 2018 or 2019, and they're not. Well, the backwards compatibility works most of the time. It doesn't work all the time, especially because MOVs used to be able to work and now they don't. So we're trying to make new templates so at least you've got something great to work in Camtasia. So I'm going to open up the newest template that we're still building. It's called Borderline. Hopefully we'll be able to release it in the next week or so, and we'll give you guys a preview of what that looks like. And then we're going to talk about libraries with that template. I was going to just build something from scratch, but Borderline looks really, really cool. So I'll just show you Borderline and then we'll build from there. So the background and this dark black overlay is mostly just to make it so you can see the template better in a demo. And I'm not going to just hit play because GoToWebinar doesn't catch fast enough. So I'm going to use the caret keys or the period and comma to kind of scroll through this so you can see how it works. It's got several layers. They come out. Then you see a logo, so you could use whatever. I mean, this is a template, so you can put in or take out whatever you want. Then these cool lines fade around a couple times, and then it goes back out and fades down. So that would be a cool like intro or title slide. We also have a similar one, animates a little bit differently. Yeah, it's a little bit larger. It's got text in it. You don't have to use text in it when you use it for your slides. There's some color changes going on here in this area. It folds back down. Let's see, what is this part? Oh, okay, so this is like a top text, bottom text, or you could put an image or a bottom text. There's all kinds of cool things you could do with this, and it's easy to edit these as well, because you're just gonna, if you don't want the top part, you'll just, or let's see, this is the top part, and this is the top part, so you just get rid of those sections. But I've got a cool lower third here. It's a cool half image. So if you build something cool, and I know you guys are out there building cool stuff all the time, but if you build something cool and you're like, okay, I want to share this, or more commonly, a lower third. I've made this lower third for my company, and I want everybody to use this same lower third to keep some brand standard here. You can save it to your library. So right here in the library corner of the left ribbon, there's a library section. This is in 9, 18, and 9, and I'm sure 20. In 9, you don't have some of these extra features. So you can pick multiple libraries and create multiple libraries. So there's a Camtasia library, user libraries, all of those that you're going to make. You can manage a library by renaming them or exporting, and we're going to do all these different things. We're going to create a new library, though. Today, we're going to call it eLearning Brothers Templates. And we're going to just start from blank. Otherwise, it would move some of the files, move the files from these other libraries into that as well. But we're just going to start from blank and create that. So now in this dropdown, I see Camtasia 2019, which is the Camtasia library that was here, my default user library, and now my eLearning Brothers templates library. So now I'm going to come to my file that I want to add, select all of the layers. I'm not going to select the background layers. I don't need those. And we're going to right click once they're all selected and click add to library. You can also click Control-Shift-A if you want to. Click add to library, and now it's going to want you to name it. So I'm going to call it the borderline. That's what this template's called, right? Yeah. Borderline lower third. And then okay. And there it is. So now it's added to my library. It's just those files, just those items that I had highlighted and placed in there. And now that is saved to be accessed anytime I come into Camtasia. So if I open a brand new template and I want to put a lower third on it, now that it's in my library, all I have to do is, if I'm in media, I just click on library, navigate to the eLearning Brothers templates library, and here's my template, and click and drag it onto the timeline. And here it is, right there, ready to go. So that's a really cool feature. That's how you can add some brand consistency and stuff like that. Any questions at this point, Stephanie?
Everyone is just so wowed by your knowledge that they haven't submitted any yet.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, and Stephanie. So that's what I use libraries for the most. If I'm trying to create consistency, or if I know I'm going to be making a series of videos, or I'm going to be using a lot of the same stuff, like the same intro or the same, like this section, the same graphics, I can add those to my library. I can also include video files if I wanted to. So one thing we've done, if you go to eLearning Brothers YouTube page, it starts every video with our eLearning Brothers Rockstar intro. So it used to be this big orange block that came up and went and shook a little bit, and there was cool lighting and sparks and stuff. And now it does a similar thing, but the eLearning Brothers logo is on a stage, and there's a bunch of hands there, and it was masterfully built. And I would hate to have to build that every single time. So we took that whole thing and added it to my library. And so every time we need to make a video, I can just come into, I think I've got to actually save to my default. Yeah, here's a bunch of stuff that I've added to the library. Here's the ELB logo intro that I'm talking about. So there's that intro, and we've got stuff that talks about our custom solutions.
Are you looking for industry-leading experts?
Not with that.
I do have a question now.
Yes.
Say you have built that awesome intro and you want to share that with a coworker or a team member so they can put it on their videos. How do you share libraries between team members? Can you post them on SharePoint? How do you do it?
Sure. So this is the next step. Thank you for that segue assist. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually now going to jump out of Camtasia 2019, And we're not going to save the changes I made. We're going to open Camtasia 9. And it's going to load so slow. But the answer to your question is using library or libzip or library object files. So here in Camtasia 9, the library is accessed in the media bin over here under library. You can see I've got tons of assets here. There's just loads. Most of these are Camtasia templates that we built in Camtasia 9 these are either the original files or the ones I downloaded from elearningbrothers.com. I don't remember what they are. And if I wanted to share these with someone, like this is a cool outdoors call out. It's kind of neat. And here's a half. If I want to share this with someone that also has Camtasia, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select which ones I want to share. So if I want to share, I'm trying to remember what my favorite one is. Lotus is pretty cool. Yeah, Lotus is pretty. I'm going to share with them the entire Lotus theme. So that's going to have call outs, a half, intros, 2 layouts, 2 lower thirds, and 2 transition items. This is what I'm going to share with them. So I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to select export selected assets. And it's going to ask me where I want to save it. Do I want to save it here? We're just going to say I'm going to save it in downloads, Camtasia webinar. And here you can see I've got a bunch of other ones that I've already prepared for this webinar. And I'm just going to call it lib package. I'll keep that. And then I'm going to rename it. What was it called? Lotus theme. Save that. Click OK. And it packaged all of that together in one library object. So now you can share that through Drive, Google Drive. You can share it through Dropbox. You can share it through an email. As long as it will fit. You can share that in any way. Now you have that little library package. And as long as they have your version or a compatible newer version, that will still work. So for example, let's see, where is that going to go? So I can also select multiples. If I wanted to export my entire library, I could select all of them using the Shift key, right click, export selected assets, and it'll do all of that. Question?
I do a follow-up question.
Okay.
Can you lock the tracks when you're saving a template to share? Like if you wanted to share your template over so someone can use it, but you want to make sure they don't edit it and mess it up, is there a way to permanently lock them?
No, that's so cool though. I like where you're going. I think the easiest way to do that would probably it depends. It depends. So I see what you're getting at. If you're using the plasma lower third, looks like that, and you go, okay, look, I understand that you're going to need to change the text. It's going to need to say your name and their company or whatever. But I don't want you to touch anything else. I understand that you'd want to lock that down. I do not believe that you can do that when sharing a libzip because you're just sharing all of the files together, no locked tracks.
Well, maybe the beta testers on the call could just slide that recommendation.
Yeah, just mention that in your beta test. It'd be cool if we could lock those down. I think an alternative you could do, let's see, is to instead take the file, and this is a bad example. Let's try something else. Did we look at, was outdoors the one we were looking at? No, it wasn't, but outdoors is a good example. So if you have the outdoors lower third, yeah, this one's super complex. There's all of the files, right? So what you could do to try and lock it down is get the parts that you want them to be able to edit, which is these parts, and remove them. So we'll just put them over here. Then all of the rest of it, and drag it over. I'm going to hit this bring all media and timeline into view. It's also Control-Shift-7. I just like to push that button so that way it makes your timeline only view the stuff that you're working in. And now I'm going to drag this green marker to the very beginning and the red marker to the end of just that piece. So it's the highlighted part is just the graphics, not the text. And now I'm going to right click and I would select produce timeline selection as. And then I'll just export this as an MP4, right? The problem is this is going to export the entire thing as a video. And then when you bring it back in, it'll just be an MP4, and then you can put the text on top of it. And then you could use a color remove to get rid of the black in the video and use it like a green screen. It's really not the most effective, but if you really want to lock it down, that's something you could try. But yeah, to answer the question, long story short, no.
All right, well, we'll just have to hope that a future release has that. There is one more question about libraries. Can you store the library on the server and not locally for central control?
No, not that I know of.
You're just crushing dreams today.
That's I should have named that Dream Crusher. That's what we should have named the webinar. Sorry, everybody.
All right, well, so those are all the questions we have right now.
After you shared it. So I'm going to open up Camtasia 2019 again. I'm going to close 9. Come on, 2019, get out of the way. No, I don't want to save the 9 one. So now I'm going to open a new project in 2019. And I have all of these cool library zip packages that were exported from Camtasia 9. And I want to import them. So I'm going to come to eLearning Brothers templates. I can either right click and say import media to library and pull in those same files, or I can just come to them here and pull them in here. So I'm gonna pull this one, we'll click and drag it, and it's going to add it, and it's gonna say, what library do you wanna add it to? eLearning Brothers templates, import. And because it was originally inside of a folder, it's gonna keep that folder hierarchy. So yeah, that's going to be in the ELB folder. I can bring in a whole bunch of other stuff like the Lotus theme that we just did, and to eLearning Brothers templates, import theme Lotus, and inside that folder is all of the individual items from Lotus, the callouts, the half, the intro, and it's giving me the video, the previews of those as well. And now I can just drag these onto my timeline and use them. So this is a great way also, if you have been working in Camtasia 18 or Camtasia 19, when you first set it up, it gives you an option to import your previous library. If you don't want to pull everything over, you can click no to that and then go in and hand pick the things that you want to bring in and edit. So this is what it looks like when it's brought in. It has all of the editable tracks. They're all in there. None of them are locked, unfortunately. I hadn't even thought of that. That's a great idea. Sometimes people just want to play with the stuff that you've made and ruin the brand, and then that would be a problem. So maybe we'll see that in the future, but that's how you would import it. And you can import a bunch at a time if you wanted to. You can select all of these and drag them all in, and it'll just ask you the same question: where do you want to import these? And now they're all here. It depending on the size could take a little bit. Any other questions at this juncture about importing before we move on to?
It looks like you have answered everything right now.
Sweet, good to hear. It's just rolling. I guess I had some larger video files in here that are getting unzipped. So yeah, and it keeps them in those hierarchies. So these templates all came in from an ELB folder, so they're going to still be inside that ELB hierarchy. So TechSmith has a ton of free assets and things like that for you to access if you are a Camtasia user. If you have not already registered an account, if you haven't registered your software with TechSmith, I would highly suggest it, because when you log in, you have access to some cool templates and assets. One of them, there's 2 ways you can access it. There's this download section, and then you can click download more assets, or in the library, you can also select download more assets. They both go to the same place. Let's select that. And they have device frames, they've got some intros, they've got motion backgrounds, footage, lower thirds, they've got some general effects that are cool. Let's go to intros, and they're of course selling some, and you can sort it to say, just show me the free stuff or just show me their paid stuff. How come it's not working though? But their stuff is pretty cool. They've got some really cool lower thirds, some really good intros. For a little while, we were supplying them with some of these, sending them over, and they were offering them in their library. I mean, we've only sent like 3 or 4 over there, and they're all pretty old now. I think the last time we sent them over was Camtasia 9. This looks pretty similar to one of ours. Very similar to one of ours.
We do have a quick question, Andrew. Can you access these assets in Camtasia 8?
I don't think they'll even work in Camtasia 8.
Wow. We'll just chalk that down to you crushing more dreams today.
Well, Camtasia 8 got updated in 2016 to 9. So it's been 4 years since 8. And yeah, these are all way newer than that. I highly doubt they'll work in Camtasia 8. But you can grab any of these. Oh, I should sign in, huh? Let's see. Luckily, they dot out the password so you guys can't know all my secrets. Oh, apparently I forgot my password too. There we go. So once you're signed in, like I said, then you have access to a lot of these, and you can just instantly download the file. So if I really like this one, I can click download file, accept the terms and conditions, and here it is. And it's coming in as a libzip that I can then import directly into Camtasia. So now I can come here to my default, import media to library, come to my downloads, and where did it go? I just have to say show in folder. There we go. Oh, it was there. They just hadn't refreshed yet. So here it is, that color swipes I just got. Drag it in. We're going to add it to the default library so it shows up here. Here's the color swipes info. Looks pretty slick, like something you'd see on YouTube. You can ungroup it and then really see how they did it. It's just a really cool video file that they made, probably in After Effects if we're being honest here. And then they put text over the top of it. So then you could change that to be whatever you wanted to. Andrew Townsend with E-Learning Brothers. And there that is. Super simple, super easy. So you can click download more assets there. Of course, I'm going to show you our library. So at elearningbrothers.com, we'll just go to elearningbrothers.com first. Here at elearningbrothers.com, under asset library, and then e-learning template library, we've got templates for Articulate Storyline, Lectora, Captivate, and Camtasia. If we click on the Camtasia button, it gives you just more information. So this is a GIF of one of our templates, and you can see some of the pricing. If you want to buy them by themselves or include them in a full asset library package that includes like cutout people that are super useful, you know, stock footage, PowerPoint, stuff like that, you can get a larger package. And once you've purchased them or grabbed your free trial, then you'll find yourself here at in our library. You can come into e-learning templates, select Camtasia, and then here's a general overview of what kind of things you can get. We've got background image, cutout frames, speech bubbles. Themes are my favorite. They're the coolest things, and they're most of what you were seeing in my library already. So the full theme here, where it's got a cool intro graphic with a dynamic background. It's got, here's another intro graphic with a dynamic background. And then it's got 2 lower thirds and 2 layouts. They all have the same kind of thing. This is one of the ones we sent over to TechSmith back in 2016. But I believe we've updated this one for all the newest versions. Yep, so we've got it available as a Camtasia 18 library object, and 2019 accepts 2018 library objects. In fact, 2019 takes all of them, right? I mean, I showed you exporting a Camtasia 9 project or library zip file and putting it into a Camtasia 2019 file. So all of these will work if you're on the newest version, as long as they don't have MOVs, because they don't support MOVs. So there's some of the older ones. You can view filters here and say, I just want to see Camtasia 8 ones. So these are the way older ones. And you might really like some of these, but they won't work in 2018 or 2019. because they have MOVs, and Camtasia stopped supporting MOVs with 9. So all of these ones, unless you're on 8, for that person that said, hey, will these work on 8? All of these will work on 8. This whole section will work on 8. But yeah, none of the other ones that were built in 9 or newer. And this is the same kind of story. So if I wanted this one, let's see, I probably already have a lot of these. If I really like this Plasma one, I'll come in and I'll say, okay, well, I'm in 2019 and it accepts 2018 library files. So I'm going to click download. And as you see, when it comes in, it's going to just be a libzip object again pretty soon, I believe. There we go, right here. And then I just import that again. Let's see if I already have Plasma. I feel like I would. Theme. They're alphabetical order. Plasma right here. And it's got all of those items ready to go. Like the layout is a really cool one because it looks really fancy and you can display a lot of information on there. And if you really wanted to, you know what, I need that to be in tandem with some footage in the background. So you can come in here and say, let's get rid of these. There we go. And then you can put your own media over the top of that. Let me see if I can grab some media really quick to throw in behind it. Oh, I have footage of my son. That's what we'll put in. Sorry, guys, you get to see my son with a leaf blower.
He's not sorry at all.
Yeah, I'm not really that sorry. And then here's Dave, that overlaying the footage. This was like a year and a half ago. He is so much bigger now. So yeah, that's actually a better spot for it would be over here because he's staying more on the left side of the screen. And I'm going to highlight all these and I'm going to group them again so it's easier to manage. And move them over here. So now it comes on and they're super easy to edit. Once you've got the data in there, you just double click until you get into the editor. So hold the leaf blower and then point the leaf blower, etc. Laugh at the leaf blower. Any questions about this section?
We do have a handful of questions about the various different assets. So we'll start with the ones that come in Camtasia from TechSmith. Do you know what versions those work for? Do they work for 2018?
I don't know what they offer. Let's see if they have any sort of information on that. So if I just want intros, date, new, and all, they've got videos, images, audio, so that's cool. I'm gonna imagine that they're the newest version, that they're just gonna always be in the newest version.
Yes, that's, and then we had some questions about, is free really free? What are the licenses? Do you have to state that you used, like that you got that video template from Camtasia? And if you want to answer this for the TechSmith ones and ours, for everybody.
Sure. For TechSmiths, actually, I think the answer is the same for both. If it says free on TechSmith's site, you can download it and use it for anything you want, and you don't have to show credit to anybody. If you download assets from eLearning Brothers during your free trial, we do ask that those ones that you download during your free trial, you can use for whatever you want and enjoy those. So you get 10 free assets over a 7-day period, so you can have some time to look at them and download, try different things. Once you purchase the library and have the full access to all of our Camtasia templates, we do ask that you don't use them if you don't have a template license. That's inside of our user agreement. So you can use them as many times as you want in any way you want, and you don't have to credit us for anything as long as you've got an active eLearning Brothers license. But anything that you download during your free trial is yours for your free trial and is yours. I think that answers the question.
Yes. And then suppose you really liked, say, that Plasma template from the eLearning Brothers library, but you really wanted it to be orange because obviously orange is the best color. Can you change those colors?
Kind of, sort of. So when we were building for Camtasia 2019, and I'll full disclosure here, when we were building for Camtasia 9, not 2019, we were making them look as cool as we could, just like this one. Like this whole thing is awesome. It looks great. It's very, very, very colorful. There's lots of cool gradients. There's things going all over the place. This whole shape here, I'll see if I can make it a little bit bigger. This whole shape here is one shape. It's got this cutout circle and everything. But because that is a PNG, the only color editing options we have are here in visual effects and then colorize. So I could say, you know what, let's colorize, where is it? This guy. And now I'm going to say, you said you wanted orange, so I'm going to put the ELB theme orange on it, and it just adds it to the color that's already there. So as you can see, I can't really get it to go all the way orange. I could try to figure out, what do I need to add to green to make it orange? Probably some dark reds, getting closer there. Yeah, there we go. So if I add the colorize of dark red and add the amount to 100%, then it gets pretty orange, pretty close. And that's not bad. And then I can take that, it's here in my timeline. I click on it, it says colorize. I can click on that colorize, right click, say copy selected effects, and then paste that selected effect, paste effects on each of these other items. And now they're turning orange. Paste effect. Paste effect. So that's how you would do it in all of the ones that are currently in our library. But we understand that editability is like the #1 goal. As you guys are working here, that was like the biggest complaint we got with our template library, is that the color changing, the shapes and editing and stuff wasn't super intuitive, wasn't super easy. So as we're building templates moving forward, and I'll jump back. Bye, son. I'm going to open up a different project now. As I open up the Borderline project that we are building now for release next week, and we'll be building more over time. The goal is to build every single shape inside of Camtasia. So nothing is being brought in as a PNG. It is all built natively inside of Camtasia, so you can edit absolutely everything you want. So we had that. Let's see, come on. The one we made this morning, the Borderline lower thirds. So I'll drag that down here. Come over to view it. And if I go, okay, look, I want that shape to not be that color, I can now change that natively. So I can say, okay, so right now it's set to that teal, but I want it to be orange. Boom, that easy. And because it was built natively inside of Camtasia. So moving forward, they're going to be super easier to change, but all of the shapes are going to be built natively in Camtasia, so it might be a little bit simpler, not quite as wow factor like the other ones, but they'll have that editability. And that's the exchange that we chose to make, because editability was like the biggest feedback that we received. So hopefully you guys are satisfied with that decision. I hope that answers that question.
I think it does, and that's a great segue into the one last question that we'll do, and then I'll let you get back to everything else you want to show. But when would you use a lower third, which you have on the screen right there, versus an intro? Do you have any best practices, tips?
Fantastic. Yes, and you guys, I'm going to pull up some really old footage. I think I still have it in here. Maybe. I used to have this folder.
Just use the leaf blower one. We know you just want to use more footage of your son.
I mean, if I need to, I can't. I used to have all of this demo footage that we used that had, media. Here we go. Maybe. Yeah, I used to have all this demo footage just for this kind of stuff. And then that person that was in all the demo footage left the company, and I kept using it. And then we haven't made any new templates in like a year. So I think I just got rid of it. So yeah, we're going to use footage of my son. Sorry, everybody, but also not sorry. Where did I find that footage before? So generally, an intro you're going to want to use at the beginning of a video to like introduce your topic. So if you're going to do something on waste management. You would come in here and say waste management. And that would be the title. And then when you come into some footage of a person, which isn't even here. I don't remember where that was. Oh, you know what? It was probably on my desktop. Yeah, we'll use this. This is an image instead of a video. So then if you have a video where a person is talking, a talking head is what we'd call it. Pretend this person's talking. That's where you would put the lower third to introduce them. So you'd have your intro to say waste management video, blah, blah, blah. And then you would go into, hi, my name is David. That's not my son's name. My son's name is Peter. Hi, my name is Peter. And then you put their title. Oh my gosh, the D just wants to get hit. Okay. Oh, there we go. And that would fade on at the beginning of their talking to introduce them. So, hi, my name is Peter. I'm with eLearning Brothers, and I'm here to talk to you about waste management. That's when you would use that. So you'd use an intro slide to introduce your entire topic. And then if you ever have a talking head and you need to credit that person, you're going to put that up. A lot of the times that's to give them credentials. They use them in the news. Anytime a person talks, this person saw the robbery, and you put their name and person saw robbery or whatever. That's what you would put. Any other questions?
That's all we've got right now, and I'm sure you have tons more tips that we want to get to, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, so as far as managing libraries goes, that's pretty much all of it. I know that's what you guys came for, and I think I've answered all the questions, and I think I've showed you how to do that. What I had planned on talking about for the last little bit was just some best practices for editing. Every single time I do any Camtasia webinar, everybody's like, okay, well, what are the hotkeys for that? Or how did you do that? So I figured we're probably going to have time at the end of today. I'll just spend about 5 minutes talking about some editing hotkeys to try to get you editing and developing a little bit faster. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and delete these those files. We've got all these files here. So if you don't know it already, I'm going to cover some beginner stuff. So spacebar is to play and to pause. That's something that goes really, really easy. Something to remember is if you run out at the end of your timeline, it automatically goes to the very beginning of your timeline if you hit the spacebar. So I've had sometimes where I'm editing something right on the edge. Let's come here. If I'm editing this footage and it is the end of my timeline and I'm trying to make a nitpick change right at the end, and I go, okay, so pause it. But if I pause it just a little bit too late and it starts over at the very beginning, it can be very, very frustrating. So do be aware of that. A way to get around that is to get something like this shape that's just giving us this black background, and grow it to extend your timeline length so that as you're hitting spacebar, going, okay, that was good. Then when you hit spacebar, it doesn't start the whole stinking thing over. It just stops it in its tracks because it hasn't hit the end of the timeline yet. If you're trying to edit something down, instead of trying to drag this to make it the exact length and try to get it to match where you need it to go, another trick you can do is get your scrub bar to be where you want it to go and hit the S key. That splits the selected item. You can also hit this split button right here. S key is way faster. And then you can just delete the old one instead of trying to shrink it. That works great with shapes and stuff. It doesn't work super great with videos if you're trying to change the length of a video. So for example, this one is, it's got some slow motion effects. It's at 50% speed so that they clap nice and slow. But if I need that entire video in there, regardless of length or speed, then I would click and drag on the little clock to increase the speed time instead of hitting snip. Otherwise, it will get to a certain point and then just cut it. But if I want the whole video in there with the speed maybe sped up, then I would need to click and drag it. So that's, and there he is clapping so fast. Good for you, they're saying. Good for you. I'm going to change that back to half speed. There we go. So yes, that's the split key. Control Z to undo. If you delete something that you don't want to, or you make an edit that you don't want, like moving this up there, oh no, I don't want that there, or if I'm editing this shape, these are kind of embedded here. So I'm editing this shape and I'm trying to get it to the right spot. And I go, oh, whoops, shoot, well, that's not going to look good now. It's going to look terrible. I can hit Control Z and it'll just undo that, just like in Microsoft Word. And there it is, working the way it's supposed to. If you go, oh, you know what, I really did like that, then you're going to hit Control Y to redo the edit. Oh yeah, that was perfect. Let's keep that in the final project, yeah? Woo! A holiday. Oh, this is really useful one. Did I leave that in there? Dang it, Control Z. Okay, so a really cool trick that I like to do if I've got a ton of stuff running. We're going to grow this one again for way too long, and I just want this gap cut out. You know, I've got this template over here, and it needs to be over here, but I don't want to try to line that up. I can come in and drag this section, and then Control X, and it cuts out everything that's inside these bars, and then just pinches those two edges together. Obviously, that's not going to work super great with video because it's going to jump cut. The main reason I use that is if, let's actually undo a lot of stuff. There we go. So if I'm editing this way out here, and I've deleted some items, or for some reason they're not lining up, again, and if I've got lots and lots of layers, so I could have all kinds of stuff stacked up here, rather than trying to come over here, select everything, and then drag it over, I can instead just come to the beginning of that, and then drag the green bar over to the end of that one, and then hit Control X. And even though there's nothing in here, it's going to cut out that space and pull all of those items to be touching the exact line there. And it did give me a warning nothing was copying to the clipboard, because that section of the timeline was empty. So it just sucked up that area and moved all those items together. I'm going to get rid of these. So that's a great reason to use Control X for cut. Oh yes. So in this video, it's already slow motion. Looks great. But if I get to the end and I'm okay with a still frame and I want it to run on for a really long time, or a freeze frame, like, hey, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got here or whatever. You can hold down the Alt key and hover over the very last bit of the frame, or of the timeline object, click and drag it. And what that does is it takes that last frame and just drags that frame as an image. And so that can be super useful from time to time. I use that one all the time. Scrubbing, again, the caret keys I mentioned at the beginning, it's the comma and the period. So if you're trying to get through really meticulously through your timeline, you don't want to just click and click and click, you can tap those caret keys, you can hold them down to go a little bit faster, or just tap them to go frame by frame. And then if you're way zoomed in on the project and you need to see the whole thing, you can either click this zoom to timeline button, or like they say, Control-Shift-7, and it goes all the way out so that all of your timeline items are now visible. And that's a great thing if you're working on a huge project, to be able to bounce back and forth, in and out, to be able to see what you're working on. I already showed you copy and pasting properties with the changing of that shape to orange. So all of these, actually, I'm not even sure if these have properties. Nope, they don't. If I was going to create something new, like this octagonal shape, and I'm going to give it a cool behavior, so it's like a drifting behavior. So it comes on, whoop, using, what did I put on it? Drifting. And then it kind of floats around there in the middle, and then it flies away. And I go, you know what, I need to make some changes to that. So I'm going to come up here and say, instead of drifting in, I want it to bounce in from the top, boink, boink, boink. And then during, I just want it to kind of fade in and out a little bit. So it goes a little bit transparent. Apparently it goes 65% transparent. That's quite a bit. And then it's gonna flip out. That's great, but now I'm gonna put a whole bunch of other shapes on here, like a star and a triangle. And I want them to do the exact same thing. So I'm gonna click on this little arrow. It's got this drifting behavior that we have since edited, I'll right click on it, say copy selected effects, and then come to these ones, and I think I can select them both. Select them both, copy, and click paste effects, and now they're all going to animate on in the same way. I'm going to move them so you can kind of see. And let's drag this out so you can see them even better. So now they should all have the same behaviors. All of those effects that we edited should be the same. Yep, they bounce on, they fade exactly the same, even though we made changes to that behavior, but we copied those properties and pasted them on. And now they're all going to swoop out together. Whoop. Yep, there they go. So that's all I had to cover. Any other questions or requests or anything like that?
All right, well, I just wanted to remind everyone that we recorded this. So if you were like, oh my gosh, Andrew just shared all those tips really fast at the end, don't worry. You'll be getting a recording in your email, and this will also go on our blog and our YouTube. So tons of places to find it so you can reference it later. We did have one of the attendees shared this that I wanted to share with everyone. They use the lower thirds to title subsections of lessons. So you can kind of use it to flag a new section of the table of contents. That's another use for it if you're doing more of a training kind of video. I thought that was a good idea to share with everybody.
That's a great idea.
We did have one question going back to library management. Would you say it's best practice to create multiple libraries or just add to the Camtasia library via the program data folder?
I think that's kind of a preference. So with Camtasia, I think it started with 18. You can create these cool themes. And for me, that works great, because if I'm building a video that is for eLearning Brothers, then I need to use this eLearning Brothers theme, and then I'll want all of my eLearning Brothers templates all together in the same spot. And then as you saw, I also have this borderline theme because I'm building the borderline template, and it has its own color scheme. So I want all those in there. But if I was working for a different company or building like I make videos for some of our customers. We're one of our custom clients is PayPal. They were on the DevLearn stage with us a year or so ago, and when we were making some of their stuff, I needed to have all of the PayPal templates available, and it was way easier to just be able to say, okay, let's go to the PayPal library, and there's all of the PayPal assets. I guess I could have had them in here still as separate folders, but I like to have them completely separated, especially if that means I can keep my library smaller, meaning they're a little bit more manageable. So when I come in like to my default, there's only these ones, and that's great, and that's all I need. And so that's what I would suggest, because they're really starting to help us separate our designs so that all of that stuff is easily accessible right at our fingertips so we can grab it faster. I think that answers that question. I also wanted to mention, I think that's a great use of lower thirds. In our templates, our old templates, Rhombus is a good example. These ones that are called callouts, we built these for that kind of purpose as well. So like this Rhombus callout, I'll drag it down here. It's kind of just this cool growing shape thing that you can put information in. It's not as large as a lower third, so if you want to be able to put more information in lower thirds, probably not a bad idea. Here's another one of the Rhombus callouts. This one's on the center of the screen. It's kind of a full screen deal. But you can move that around if you want it to be over here. You could.
So lots of different options for highlighting important information or key points in your content.
That's what I love about video editing, is it really is kind of like it's just a creative outlet. You can do whatever you want, and that's over the top of another template, so it looks weird. But yeah, there's lots of cool stuff. Primarily because I came from a advertising and news background, lower thirds are built into my mind as being for going over a talking head, but you can use them for whatever you want. You can put them wherever you want too, even though it's called the lower thirds. You could have this guy animate up here, and then you could take this shape, top lines, and move them to the bottom. And now it will edit in at the top, and you can put it wherever you want. So super cool, super creative. I'm going to put this on the screen. and talk about this. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. You can sign up for a free trial and download 10 assets for free over a 7-day period. You can learn more about that at elearningbrothers.com if you want to try those out. Like I said, we are adding some new ones that will be built in Camtasia 2019, and those will be added shortly. But if you're using 18 or 19, there's a tremendously large number of assets. I think there's like 300 templates that are available, and it's pretty cheap. You also saw if you just want the Camtasia templates. If you're looking for something to add, maybe you're using Lectora, and that's how you got in. Lectora Inspire, I think, comes with Camtasia. So if you're using that also, then you'll want all of the templates and assets, not just the Camtasia ones. So you can also try those ones out with our 7-day free trial. And that's all I had, Steph. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about Camtasia. I haven't done a Camtasia webinar in a while, so this was fun.
All right. Well, I think that we all learned a ton, and keep an eye out for this recording in your emails. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We really enjoy seeing you all with us, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.